Good morning, everybody. Stu Smith here going live. It is Tuesday, so that means we're going to talk a little bit about swimming and specifically the combat swimmer stroke, which is a common stroke for military people trying to get into spec ops jobs that require swimming and diving, specifically SEAL, SWIC, EOD, diver. They will need to pass this test. Recon can also use side stroke. They can also use breaststroke. SEALs can also use breaststroke as well. But for most people who didn't grow up learning breaststroke as a competitive sport, the CSS is easier. So that is a lot of the reason why we use it. And it's just a little bit quieter than breaststroke, and you don't have this constant popping up your head out of the water. So it's a little more streamlined and stealthy. So you need to learn how to do that. So anyway, let's talk about the common mistakes. What I have seen over the years coaching this stroke is kicking off the wall and screwing up the pullout to a point where you just lose all your momentum. And the top three issues with swimming the side stroke is all about momentum. So kicking off that wall, you got a 500-yard swim in a swimming pool, no fins. Kicking off that wall matters. And if you get a solid kickoff, even if you want to do a pullout, that's great, but it's got to have a solid recovery out of it so you don't lose momentum off the wall, because you will never be as fast as you are in a 25-yard pool, especially a 50-yard pool, than that first 8 yards off the wall. So use it to your advantage. Kick off hard. Stay streamlined. Don't waste a lot of energy flutter kicking, dolphin kicking. Just glide, right? It's free distance. So kick off hard. A lot of people screw that up, whether they're flutter kicking the whole time or they don't even glide that far. They come up to breathe. They cut it short. So that's number one, is kicking off the wall. I'm going to show you some videos of it. And not taking advantage of that free distance and speed. The other one is transitioning out of it and losing momentum. All right, now once the stroke begins, the biggest problem is either you're wasting momentum by not gliding long enough, or you're losing momentum by gliding too long. So there's this magic 3-second glide that most people can do. And if you're a little bit better swimmer, you might be able to get a 4-second glide out of it because you have a stronger kick, you have a better streamlined body position. Those two things matter for glide time and speed, right? Because what can happen is if you have a horrible streamline, like you look like a plow in the water and not a torpedo, it's going to severely limit your ability to glide at that magic yard per second pace. So streamline body position, recovering tight on that streamline is a way to not be swimming with the brakes on. But the magic number is 3 Mississippis. So people tell me all the time, they hear my voice saying kick and hold the glide, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, pull. That is where, if you can keep moving up until that pull, that's really good. Now, if you can get a 4th second out of it, that's okay too. But my advice is just keep it at 3, because a lot of lost speed occurs in that 3rd and 4th second for most people. So that's where most people screw up and they start losing time. I can't tell you how many people I have coached with those 3 things and drop the most time out of any other thing that I've coached, right? So we've taken out the pullout altogether because the person was so bad at transitioning out of it. And that person dropped 30, 40 seconds on his PST. That's how bad he was. Double arm pull, and then he just pops up to breathe. He stops in the middle of the pool, and he's got to recreate all that momentum. And just by taking that process of having to recover from the breaststroke pullout, you get two things. You get an extra breath and you don't lose momentum. So just kick off the wall, glide as far as you can till you feel yourself slow down, pop up, turn to breathe, and start the first stroke. Don't even sweat the pull out. The other one is fixing people's glide time, right? I've seen people go really fast on a 50, but they did it in 10 strokes. And then what happens is they can't maintain that amount of effort for a 500-yard swim. So all we do is say, hey, just glide another second, maybe a second and a half before you start the next stroke. And one, that cuts his effort down from 10 strokes per length down to 6. Now, also cuts his breathing out a little bit too. So you're going to have to get in shape to handle that, but it's less effort. You'll be able to maintain that yard per second pace or whatever your goal pace is a little bit longer. And the other one is gliding too long. We just, it's just, you're just going too easy of gliding too long till you have to slow down on that fourth or fifth Mississippi, and then you pull and you got to recreate that speed and momentum again. So those are the three big things. So let's show some. Let's see some videos. So I'm just going to go on my TikTok. I don't know if you guys have gone over there. All these are also on my reels as well. But I'm going to show some videos as soon as this pops up over here. There we go. So this is my TikTok page. I don't know how many videos it has on it, but it's hundreds maybe of me critiquing people swim. So let's talk about the common mistakes. And this is way beyond discussing the actual stroke. Once you learn the stroke, people are still making some of these mistakes. So you can see here, this guy's got a solid kickoff. Let's see what we got here. We got a solid kickoff, kind of overglides. See how he kind of overglides just a little bit, like he almost stops. I mean, it's very subtle. And then he hits a glide here, which is pretty good. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Yeah, I shouldn't be able to say that 3rd Mississippi. This probably is not the best one to look, but you can see when you're gliding and then you pop up to the surface with your back, all that surface tension is just going to slow you down. So you want to stay underwater, and if you're gliding to a point where you're popping up, just know you need to start the next stroke because all that surface tension is going to slow you down even more. All right, let's see if we got some other ones. I think this one's an overglide or an underglide. Can't remember. Top arm, bottom arm, kick 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Oh, yep, underglide. Kick 1 Mississippi, 2. Yeah. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Yep. I'm trying to get him to go 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, pull. So even though it's that subtle, half a second maybe, he could hold the glide a little bit longer. He's got a good recovery. He's decent pull, turn to breathe, tight on the recovery. He just needs to hold that glide just another half second. All right, let me see if I can get some overglides in here. Here's another one, need more glide time. See what this looks like? Yeah, you can see it here. This is a classic need more glide time. I mean, there's no glide in this CSS at all. In fact, he's even kicking during the glide. So if this is one way to really get tired while you're swimming the CSS, is just keep on kicking through the glide and just keep on stroking. Because, I mean, he is a taller guy, so he's actually doing this in not too many strokes. But it's still a lot of work and a lot of conditioning that you're going to need to be able to maintain that level of pace and for the 500. All right, let's see what we got here. Kick off the wall. This is one of those, look like a plow versus a torpedo. See that streamline there? If you can see the streamline, need to be able to get those biceps on your ears, get your head down. Don't swim like this. Swim like this. Yeah, good classic overglide. Plus, kind of plowing a little bit with your head. So tight shoulders make for crap streamline body position, and it just slows you down. So if you can get those arms up a little higher and work on that streamline, because what's happening here is just it's kind of always in the dive position. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3. That's good timing though. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Yep. So he's pulling okay, but the shoulder position of the glide. Remember we talked a little bit about the streamline position. That's what's slowing him down on this one versus the actual timing itself. He could probably glide a little bit longer if he has a nice recovery of the nice recovery and tighter streamline body position. So this one is a 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi pull. So good timing. All right. I had these all lined up, but then as soon as I turned on the thing, I lost all of them. So got to refine all of my timing here. 1 Mississippi, 2. Yep. So this is a little shorter. He's fast, but here's the problem with this swimmer is it's difficult for him to maintain this pace for the full 500-yard swim. This is a 7:30 pace, but he's swimming closer to 9 minutes. And a lot of times what happens when you don't hold that glide a little bit longer and you do more strokes per length, it's difficult to maintain this pace longer in that 500-yard swim. Just it requires another layer of conditioning, really. The only person I've seen it is a recent one, and I posted this one when we had two guys swimming side by side. Here's a perfect glide and almost no glide and constant effort side by side. So we got the guy up top arm, bottom arm kick, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi pull, perfect. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi pull. The guy on the bottom is like, he's side by side with him. And I will say this, I'm impressed. This bottom guy was able to do this stroke in 500 yards in 8 minutes. He is a cardio machine. And the guy up top also got 8 minutes, but he also did half the stroke count. So what's going to be affected after this swim will be pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, maybe even the run. There's a lot of sugar getting burnt here, blood sugar, glycogen getting burnt here in the bottom swimmer versus the top swimmer. You're just going to have a little bit more fuel on the back end. But like I said, he's a cardio machine. And second, the guy up top is just so much more streamlined, holds the glide longer. Other guy's just working. So would have been cool if I had a guy that's over gliding up top, but I do not. They would probably not be going side by side if they did. All right, one more, and then I'll take some questions here. Let me see what we got here. Top arm, bottom arm, kick. Yeah, this is no glide. 1 Mississippi, 2. Right, so 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, pull. So he's pulling that bottom arm by the time he should be pulling that top arm. So probably what the problem is we just got to work on his kick power so he has a little tighter glide position. And has a tighter glide position to be able to actually get a 3-second glide out of it. Yeah, so that's an underglide as well. The overglides are shockingly slow. It just usually just let's see here's another common mistake video I put out. Top arm, bottom arm kick. Oh yeah. So once again, undergliding. You guys can see that. It's quite prevalent. I mean, I can't even count. One Mississippi, two. Yeah, okay. One Mississippi. So yeah. All right. So that is my introduction to the 3 common mistakes, and I'll take some questions now from you guys. I got you guys over here on Instagram, as well as um, I have some over here on YouTube. So my left shoulder pops out nowhere randomly, like a P3200. What should I have? No idea what you're talking about. Yeah, I go see a doctor. If your shoulder pops out of socket, you have a torn labrum and you might need surgery. I don't know. It might have been Nick Norris that set the record. You talking about the O course record? Um, I think it was John Kiner that said it. It was like a wrestler in college, maybe a 150-pound dude, and broke that. I think he broke the 5-minute record. It's like 4:45 or something. Could be wrong though. Do you have any resources on improving the freestyle? Not really. I mean, here's the thing. Everybody teaches freestyle. Every swimming coach will teach you how to do the freestyle. You know, not everybody knows how to do the combat side stroke. So that's why I teach the combat side stroke, because it's needed for a very small segment of the tactical fitness population. But everybody coaches. You go to any pool, everybody in there is doing freestyle. Most people. And if you can watch and learn, you can also take some lessons. But there are tons of videos on YouTube and Instagram, for that matter. If you just look up freestyle coaching, you'll see people much better at swimming than I am coaching freestyle. So I just stay in my lane. You know, CSS is where I kind of focus on and try to help people master it. Hey Stu, I finished my first ever open ocean swim, 1 miler, 32 minutes, no fins against the current. How's that time? That's good, especially with no fins. Current's tough. Let's see. Are the SEAL candidates of today bigger, stronger than they were back in the 90s? Any noticeable differences? Good question. I would say, like we discussed yesterday, there's a bell curve of people who attend and make it through training. And there tends to be a heavy side that's very small group and a lighter side that's a very small group. And everybody else is kind of in the middle between that, I don't know, say 175 and 185 weight range, maybe 190. But there are some bigger guys getting through training for sure. But smaller guys too. I mean, we had a dude that was 5 foot tall, got through it fine, and not big. Pound wise. I mean, he wasn't weak, but he just wasn't a big guy. I seem to default to the frog kick from the underwater swim rather than the scissor kick. It's up to you. Trying to correct by flutter kicking on the side. I wouldn't flutter kick underwater. That's one way to just come up really winded. So my advice is this: double arm pull, hold that glide, just like a freestyle or a breaststroke pullout. Kick and recover, hold that glide. Now, it's up to you how you kick. You can do a scissor kick, one scissor kick, or you can do one breaststroke kick. No one cares. Just get across the pool. The one thing you don't want to do is a whole bunch of flutter kicks underwater. In fact, try it. Try kicking off the wall and just start flutter kicking and see how far you get. Don't even do any arm pulls, just flutter kick. All right. Then try it with just breaststroke or scissor kick, no arm pulls. Just hold the glide each time and see which one you get, which gets you further. Just curious. I've done the test. I know which one's more efficient underwater. You should do the test yourself. But let me just give you a hint. It's not flutter kicking. Let's see. Looks like I've answered all the questions already. Um, let's see if I can. I might have a couple of videos that I downloaded this week and I have not critiqued yet. Oh, looks like I got rid of them. Try not to keep them on the computer for too long. Yep, that's what happened. Let's see here. Yep. So you guys got questions, send them. I don't know if you guys have seen my Never Quit stretching. Goes along with the Never Quit Mindset series. So, I might come up with something. Never quit training. Who knows? Might be fun. I was between joining SEALs and the MSRT for the Coast Guard. When I finish my career in the military, I want to join FBI. What do you think would help me more for my future? Either one. Either one's great. Both are great units. Both are maritime special ops level units. So, I mean, you're going to be fine either way. I don't think you can go. I don't think you can go wrong. The reason why I like the Coast Guard a little bit over the Navy prior to the FBI is, the FBI, yeah, they go overseas and do stuff too, but primarily it's home defense, right? It's their prime, law enforcement agency in the United States, and Coast Guard is considered a law enforcement agency as well, within Homeland Security. So your links to FBI and Homeland Security are going to be greater within the Coast Guard than with the SEALs. So I guess after thinking about it for a second, maybe Coast Guard. But you do you. Either one will get you there. I know many former SEALs that are FBI agents. How important is it to be solidly under 9 minutes versus between 9:30 on the mile-and-a-half run? It's not that important. I think that is fine between 9 and 9:30, but sub 9 is better. My PST is 8:15, 194.20, stuck at 9:40. I mean, that's not great, but be honest with you, after you pass the PST at Buds, your first whatever week in prep, you will never take it again, and you'll be taking 4-mile timed runs, and you want to be in the 28-minute range of that. So I think, given everything else, swim with fins, 4-mile timed runs are more important than your PST scores. But you got to have good PST scores, and you have good PST scores. How should you exhale in the CSS? Usually, I kick, and when I'm holding that glide, I'm starting to exhale because my next move is I'm turning to inhale. Any advice for fleet returnees? Yeah, I mean, you've been there. You have a wealth of information that a lot of young guys that are at Buds do not have. So be the guy that can help with little things like how you take care of the boats and how do you prepare for swim, open water swims, and just little things, that can be very helpful. I mean, chances are you might be, depending on how big the boat crews are, there may not be enough officers for every boat crew. So, the petty officers will be boat crew leaders. That's when you can really help, and your education from prior events will be able to be an asset. So I would look at it like that, you know, go in there and be more of a kind of like I don't know, a coach to some of the younger guys, um, just because they need it, and any little bit of help can be go a long way for getting more people, um, good guys through. So I don't see anything wrong with that. In fact, I'll be honest with you, I enjoyed being a boat crew leader and the class leader. Now, I was like a section of my time there, I was like the senior officer in the class, so I had to be the class leader. And I will say I worried more about the people that I was with versus myself. And that was a nice distraction, to be honest with you. Keeping track of head counts and being that guy that knew when people weren't around, just to be able to pass it on to other boat crew leaders or the class leader at the time. And that was, it was like I said, it was distracting me from my own pain and my own inner thoughts of this whole process that I'm going through. So that's where I'd be if I were you, for sure. All right. Guys, got any more questions? Because I am going to get my day started. If not, got a pretty busy one. Been working on my Never Quit Stretching video and PDF that goes with it. That's up on my store now. We do the Never Quit Stretching or basketball court yoga, we call it, right after Mobility Day, and just a lot of fun. And whether you're old like me, feeling no pain afterwards, being able to touch your toes and it doesn't hurt, or just being able to touch your toes, period. Touch the floor, palms down. I mean, that's next level for me, and it's a constant work in progress. So we do it at least once a week. Highly recommend mixing it into your training on how we do it. You can do it however you want. Basically, it's as simple as this: get a basketball court, tennis court's fine too, and you um, get across that court using stretches and yoga poses and movements. Can be dynamic stretches, can be static stretches and yoga poses, however you want. Just you inchworm your way across. Usually takes about 20 minutes, maybe 30. All right, last question. I gotta go. Looks like Zeno's last question. I've seen some posts of a kind of culture shift within Buds from being team oriented to every man for himself. Any thoughts on this? And if that statement is true. I would say it is unfortunately true, to a degree. Now, there are people that are great team players, and unfortunately, there are people there that are not. And that is a never, that every man for himself kind of mentality, which I don't think is healthy. And I usually think those guys find problems in the system somewhere. And if they're tough, they don't, and they make it through, there's something tactical that, that they fail because of that mentality. So I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it to get through Hell Week. I don't recommend it to try to be that guy that is not team oriented. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I joined the Navy because of that. I enjoyed being a team player in sports, in clubs, um, you know, you name it. It was just being around people and working together for a common mission. That's something that, made me want to serve. And there's no room for every man for himself in that setting. So the answer is yes and no. Is it true? There are some. Is it prevalent that everybody's like that? No, it's not. You will find teammates in there that you can trust and would do anything for you, and you would do anything for them. So I guess if you think about it as the military is just a segment of society and you're going to have a little bit of everything. And that is true. All right. So I need to go, folks. I will chat with you later. If you guys have questions, just email me, stu@stewsmith.com. Here's my email right here on the bottom of this little ticker, stu@stewsmith.com. You can also go to stewsmithfitness.com, save 15% on any of the programs like this or this. And, contact me if you have any questions about it. Here to help. You guys have a good one, and I will see you later.